All right, guys, welcome back to the ALGS channel. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a great day so far. Something I don't think I've ever done on the channel that we're wanting to do before we go into Split 1 playoffs is an ALGS tier list. So today we're going to do the Jmeyels tier list, and I know you guys are probably not going to agree with me. So I'm looking for your feedback down below. Am I stupid? Do I got the actual sauce, or what's going on? So if you guys want to stay up to date with all things Apex Legends esports related, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's go ahead and dive into it. Firstly, to get our news out the way, here are some scrim results. Actually, a little bit of a shocking one, something a little bit different. I'm glad to see some variances going on. So Disguised in first in the LAN scrims, #1, and then you've got 2R1C in second place, Luminosity in third. So finally, it's not North American dominated in the top 5. Then, of course, 4th and 5th and 6th, you did have North America with Furia, SSG, and Oxygen. Still no TSM, and I'm really interested to see how these guys are going to compete in this one. But then you go into scrims #2, in which you had Fnatic actually winning. Now, this was really exciting to see because I think we've only seen North American teams win. And to be fair, like we've already mentioned this like countless times, that all the non-North American teams are like 120 plus ping. Some of these APAC teams are on like 250 ping. It's getting absurd for them. So I get why North America is just kind of dominating. Also, people think North America simply is the better region, and so I can understand that as well. But that's kind of where we're going to get into those tier lists as well. But Fnatic in first, Oxygen Esports in second, and 2 Rats 1 Controller in third place here, which was interesting because they also got second place on the first one. So really interested to see how these guys compete at LAN as well. Now, also want to make mention of the legend meta. Now, this one's a really weird one because as we were going into this new patch, we all thought that Bangalore might, she's nerfed to the ground, maybe she's gonna be gone. Seer might come back, and everybody was mentioning that Seer might come back. But here's the way that it looks right now. According to Apex Legends status, the current legend meta is as follows. Most of these legend comps are really Bangalore Bloodhound Caustic still, which I find to be very interesting. And then Bangalore Catalyst Conduit is another option that people seem to be going with. But yeah, for the most part, it looks to be Bangalore Bloodhound and Caustic once again. And I really was surprised that Bang was not, introduced out of the scene after all these nerfs took place. But I guess this is fair considering a lot of these guys have been practicing for this for quite some time. Interested to see how it all goes down in just a couple of weeks or so as we approach Split 1 playoffs. Also want to make mention that Oversight Esports put out their official reel or trailer for the Oversight Pro Series that they have now launched. And of course, we mentioned this a couple of days ago, but instead of just generic scrims going on, they're now going to be a $20,000 like league type of thing. It's a pro series for all these teams that would be competing in like scrims and such. It's now going to be a pro series. It's like something to look forward to with a $20,000 prize pool and actually taking it serious rather than just weird scrims. So maybe we can finally look at the scrim results and actually note what's going on and maybe take some actual application to it rather than just saying, Jmeyels, you're stupid for looking at the scrim results, because they don't always tell the full story, which I totally understand. But that's going to be coming up April the 1st through April the 26th. So very excited for this as well. And then of course, there's going to be more stuff down the line as well. We already talked about the women's series, but now, ladies and gentlemen, we have our 40 teams and their respective groups that they're going to be playing in. We already mentioned this in yesterday's video, but it's time for the ALGS tier list video, and I know you guys are just about to roast me in the comments like never before, but we have our teams and here are our respective tiers. So S tier is going to be should win, the teams that I can really easily see winning this tournament. A tier is maybe they'll win. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw it, but they're definitely very good, but they're not my first pick. And then B, it's probably going to make finals. C is meh, I don't really know. D is definitely have my doubts. So let's dive into the tier list itself. I had to pre-make this because if you watched me make this live, you probably would have had a stroke because I had like 30 teams making finals apparently, and so I really just couldn't do that. So without giving an introduction, we already know that the S tier teams are Moist Esports, TSM, and Dark Zero. Moist Esports is arguable, I'll give you that. We know TSM and Dark Zero S tier. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Now, Moist Esports is a team that I'll just be honest with you. I feel like they've proven to me that they are an S tier team. I know that there's no LAN performance to show that they're going to translate all their online results into Pro League, but we do know that Moist in general has, generally been pretty solid on LAN. They've made some good finals. They've made some good runs. And now with the addition of Guild to their roster, yeah, I do think Moist has shown themselves. They've done great inside of North American Pro League. So I am going to give it to them. I really do. I think they're that talented of a roster. Now, A tier, Legends Gaming, obviously former Black Hand inside of APAC South, top 3 at the World Championship last year. It's hard not to put them inside of the top 3 here in general. Now, they also did pretty good in their Pro League this year. So just in general, not bad at all. How could you not put them there? I think they're not going to be crazy slaying power. I have a really hard time believing that they're going to be able to win tournaments just because they don't have that slaying power where it's a match point format. But we know that, slaying power is a little arguable. I'm just saying, yeah, they don't have controller players on their team. So it's hard to imagine that Design and Enemy are going to lose a fight against them sometimes. But anyways, that's where an A tier team comes in for Legends Gaming. Now, Legacy is a team, I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to win this, man. The only unsigned team in North America right now going to LAN that is this good. I mean, these guys are just so good. I spoke with Legacy not long ago, by the way, and still hoping that they'll get an organization. Sadly, it just turns out I'm assuming some things fell through on their whole deal that we posted about a couple of weeks ago. But Legacy obviously needs no introduction as well. They are one of North America's finest, without a doubt. Luminosity, on that hand, is also a team that you know very well and very much. Obviously, Sweet is one of the more renowned players in the entire game, and he's got two new guys coming behind him with Slayer and Funk. They got a lot of criticism, right? Why in the world did Sweet pick up this roster? Why this team? Why not Guild? Why get rid of Nathan? What in the world's going on? Well, of course, there wasn't really a getting rid of Nathan. There was just a different scenario in which Nathan played out a little bit differently. But there was a lot of controversy regarding this roster change, and they have shown that it was not necessarily necessary because they are a very talented team that have proven themselves inside the Pro League results and had fair results to follow. Now, SSG is another team that really doesn't need an introduction. You guys know they've done tremendously well in a lot of series inside of North America. They've got Zainu with a lot of crazy slaying power that you just cannot ignore. Then Phony and Frex, obviously a duo that have been together for quite some time. SSG has shown good results, and that's why I have them there. Then when it comes to Aurora, I know many teams are going to be like, well, how in the world can you put Aurora A tier when they've broken all these records? They've done so tremendously well inside of the EMEA region. They've dominated on a scale that we haven't seen, right? Like Aurora has just not been good. They've been dominant. How could you not put them in S tier? But for me, I have doubts that that's going to translate on a LAN level. And the reason is because when you see North America, if a team just predominantly does really good inside North America, I think that means it will translate to LAN. When you see teams dominate in other regions, I still think in my mind, well, they have to go up against North America, and I don't think it's going to be as easy, so therefore I'm going to show some signs of doubt. And I don't do that because I'm just from North America and I love North America, but you look at all these scrim results, you look at all these times past inside of ALGS, North America predominantly does dominate inside of the ALGS global scene. So that's the reason that I have them there. And Aurora is no different in A tier. I think they could do well. I think they might even have a chance to win. Yeah, I think they could definitely win. But I just need to see a little bit more signs of proof, I guess, in that scenario. Now, DSG is another team that, honestly, all these teams are very, very good. DSG is another solid team that, honestly, in my opinion, if they show up, they're going to win. It's just a matter if DSG can lock it in, but they have some weird signs sometimes where they just don't find their groove right for whatever reason. But I think they have one of the highest ceilings of all these teams here, probably a top 4 ceiling. And I think if they bring their best, DSG is a best team. Like, no, there's no doubt about it. Fnatic is one of those teams that they definitely deserve this A spot, winning APAC North and having one of the more, predominant rosters or talent that we know inside of that region. How can you ignore these guys? These guys have really gone to battle and shown themselves time and time again at LAN, online. And so even winning, and obviously the scrim today, I'm not saying that this is persuade my judgment at all, but Fnatic is just a team that does solid. And I think that they definitely have a good chance, and they're going to bring a good version of themselves more than likely to this LAN event. But Furia, on the other hand, I worry about. The reason I have them here is because their highest of highs is higher than a lot of other teams' highs, but they weirdly have these lowest of lows and coming out of nowhere. I don't know why. It's not necessarily been common for them. And but yeah, anyways, they finished dead last at regional finals and looked like they weren't even playing the game. And then they have other days where they win the entire series. So it's just really hard to know and predict what kind of Furia you're going to get. But that's why I think that they're definitely an A tier team overall. But maybe not every single day. Now, Kindred Gaming, I love this roster, and I know this is probably a weird pick. Many people are going to wonder why I don't have them in B tier, but One Tappy, in my opinion, is one of the better players in that entire region, and he just has my respect. I really think that Kindred Gaming is just going to be one of those teams that just might be a dark horse and show up and surprise a lot of people, and I just really trust the team, the roster that One Tappy is on. And so that's why I have them here. Maybe a little bit of bias there, but I really like that roster. I think they've done great things, and I think we're going to continue to see great things as well. Now, Wonton Dumpling needs no introduction as well. If you've watched their Pro League, you know why they're here. They're literally just that good. They've been dominating for that region for quite some time. And honestly, with the name that they have, it seems like this is a common occurrence in that region, right? You've got Boogie Borders, you've got Wonton Dumpling, you got Team Burger in the old Team Burger. Now we got a new Team Burger, but you know, Apex South comes up with some crazy names, but it seems like all these guys seem to do pretty good, and all of them have to do with food for some reason, mostly besides Boogie Borders. But most of these really good teams out of Apex South come up with some weird food names, and then they just traditionally do pretty good for whatever reason. Now comes through the B tier, a little bit different. I know that some of these teams you may look and say, I disagree with you, Miles. I think they need to be A tier, and I will accept that. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have some reasonings as to why. 2 rats, 1 controller. I think it goes without saying that, look, I'm going to be honest. This might hurt your feelings, but they're not in North America. And so I just have to ignore some of your results being in the EMEA scene. Now, they did get top 3 in both of the international scrims today. That is something worth mentioning, and I'll give it to them. That's why they're on my higher end of the B tier, if that makes sense. A B plus, if you will. They're a great team. They have a lot of potential. I just need to see more proof. And I give a little bit of a deduction, I guess, to all the non-North American teams, because I don't know if that's going to translate to LAN. I don't know that you're going to continue this success when it comes to an international level with all these other regions involved. I do trust that North America teams will do that, because I think they're already playing against the best of the best. And that's going to sound so freaking biased, and I understand why you might hate me for that. But honestly, when you look at the stats, when you look at the traditional placements, it just makes sense. It is what it is. All right, anyways, Navi in second place for here on the B tier. Maybe not necessarily second place, but in general, MEA team that is solid. They're good. I don't think they're going to necessarily just go crazy and shock the world, but I think they could. They have that potential, so that's why I got them there. 07, another team that honestly could be an A tier, but I think I'd be playing a little bit too much bias if I did, but just because I love that roster. I love everybody on the roster, love the coaching staff, love the logo, love the name, love everything about that team, and I hope the best for them. But I think obviously you can't ignore that there's just some really heavy hitting teams out there that you got to look out for. Oxygen, many may say that they should be an A tier. I think they shouldn't, and the reason is because I'm using some recency bias here. They have shown some signs of struggle, and last year a top 3, obviously you look at a top 3 LAN placing finish and you think, okay, well, they're an A tier team probably, but they haven't consistently kept that. They've had some struggles. I think they're a better team on LAN. I think they are going to show up. I think they are going to be better than what I'm expecting, but I just don't think I can place them in an A tier quite yet based on what I've recently seen from them. Now, Riddle Order, on the other hand, is a team where I also is in the same situation, really, where I was shocked. I thought Riddle Order was going to be probably the best team. I honestly thought that Riddle was going to be better than Fnatic. I thought they were going to be better than Kindred Gaming. I thought they were going to be better than probably every other team inside of APAC North. I thought they were going to win their region with, honestly, ease. I really thought they were going to have a fair way in that side, but it seems like they started off in a big struggle. Then they were able to work things back, and I'm glad to see them showing up the LAN, of course, but I do have my doubts about them to some degree, but I think that they're going to be better than most of the other teams. But then Team Burger, on the other hand, is, well, honestly, I say the other hand, but they're pretty much the same. I think that they, on paper, they should be a little bit better as far as dominating. I think they're a great team, and they've done great, but I just thought they were going to be a little bit better than what I've seen. And when it comes to the international level, you've got to bring some crazy performance to really, shock and make me think that you're better than up there with the TSM. And I just don't think they're there quite yet. Reject Winity, pretty similar. I just had to give them because I feel like they've deserved it. They really earned it of being very consistent inside APAC North all year long. How in the world could you not give it to them? But, I don't think that they're going to win the LAN, necessarily. But I guess I would say I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to pull off something crazy. But just not quite there yet. Elevate is a team, the most improved team, in my opinion, of all of ALGS this year. Had a lot to prove, and boy, did they do it. I do think that it's going to be a little bit of a struggle on this whole world scenario, international level. But I could make the argument for an A tier for E8 at this point. They've just done that well for me. I'm going to... Honestly, I wasn't expecting to make a change, but I'm going to put them at an A tier. I think they really have deserved it. Now, Alliance, on the other hand, I really need to see some more proof. And the reason is because traditionally they are a pretty solid team and they're very heavy hitters. Enemy and Unlucky on the same team, I think they are going to be an A tier, but I just need to see more proof. And the reason is because they've been weird for me. They haven't really just come off as this dominant, like, Alliance powerhouse anymore. I was really expecting Alliance to be in the place of Aurora, right? But Aurora's been the one showing the dominance, and Alliance has not. So I'm going to need to see some more proof from Alliance, and that's why I've got them at B tier for now. Complexity, if you would have asked me this, 6 months ago, I would have definitely thought C, maybe even D. A lot of hate around those guys, thinking that they were a friendship league or organization. They needed a big shakeup. They needed a big change. But I just think that they've really proven themselves. They've really come together. They all believe in each other. It's been a weird roster change that not many people were expecting, but it's worked for them. And they've even had some wins inside the regional finals recently. So they started off strong in the pro league. They finished it off pretty solid. And I really like this roster. I think they're going to fare well. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to be crazy good, but I think they're going to show some signs of life that is going to be refreshing to see. Now, for these last three teams, I think they all have a pretty similar introduction. I think they're all solid, slaying teams inside the APAC South. They are all very good. And it's really interesting to see how these regions play out a little differently, because it seems like there's like metas and there's, there's characteristics. It's almost like a culture inside of all of these regions of how they play. So MDY White, Boogie Borders, and Tom Young Kung all honestly bring that same culture and vibe to me. And so I think they're all three solid, all three good. All three could definitely make finals. All three could definitely even get in the top 5. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. Someone has to be on the bottom of the B tier, and I don't necessarily think that, I think that some of these are better than not. They're really not in a specific order, but someone has to be in B tier. You can't put everybody in A and S. And so I just think that these are the teams that made it there, but I would not be surprised if they did very, very solid. Now, these are the teams where I get surprised. I do honestly think that Crazy Raccoon, I might not be surprised. I could possibly put them in a B tier. But I just think that, I will put them in B tier. Crazy Raccoon of the former Ganbara Tucson team. They're a good roster. They're a good team. They've been sticking it out for quite some time. I love their culture. I love how they've been kind of, not making all these crazy roster changes like everybody else. So it's good stuff to see from them. And I hope that they do fare well. I think that they're on the back end of that. They're going to definitely need to prove themselves a little bit more because there are some heavy hitting rosters here. But Northeption, I'm definitely needing to see more proof from. They are an organization that traditionally shows some sign of life inside of the group stage, but lately they have not shown that sign of life in general. Like, they've just been doing average and average and average and average, and I haven't seen Northeption just shock me. And unfortunately, that's why I have them here. Now, Omit has a great storyline, and all that's great. Obviously, they were struggling. They weren't going to make it. Regional finals come along, and they do a crazy, crazy, crazy comeback, and they make it to LAN. Amazing on them. Obviously the former ESG team, so I love to see it. I just don't think that they're quite there yet. Serenity, another team I'm going to put in B for now. I don't even know why I had them this low, but Omit is a team I need to see more proof from as well. Barely getting by inside the EMEA region. Obviously, you barely make it. Makes me think that you're going to have some signs of struggle at LAN. BR Demons, it's hard because I love all these guys on the rosters, and I don't mean any disrespect, but the South American region obviously has a bad rep for a certain reason. They are traditionally not as much of a powerhouse at all. And so both of these South American teams, Geared Gaming and BR Demons, I think have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove here for sure, because they're definitely fighting an uphill battle, and people think that they're probably the worst teams here when it comes to, their region competitiveness. But then also, you just look at it from this perspective of who have they really had to play against. They don't really get to play against good competition besides these scrims that are coming up. And so I just hope they can get it together, and maybe they can show some signs of shock for a lot of people. Now, when it comes to Yokuyari, I think that this team is probably one of the more underrated teams from APAC North. I know that they got 7th place inside of their region, so many people are thinking, well, if you're on the outskirts, maybe you're not that good. But I think Datch is one of the better players in the region. I think Datch is an amazing player in general, and so I think they're going to have some firepower, but we're just going to need to see proof for sure. Made in Heaven, on the other hand, I am looking at this and thinking this is pure disrespect to have them in C tier. They definitely need to go up to B tier. And then when it comes, honestly, I really think that Passion is on that level as well, but I think I'd be being a little biased here if I put it, just because Max Strafe, of course, I want to have Max Strafe there, being, his whole situation and not being able to make LAN because of the whole world situation and the wars going on. I want to see him do good, but obviously, there's definitely some signs of struggle there, and we'll see how they perform at the LAN level. Then HOA, honestly, similar scenario. Don't know much about them in the middle of the APAC North region. They've done solid. They've done decent, but nothing astronomically well. And the players, to me, aren't as recognizable as the Riddle Order roster, the Fnatic roster, and even the Crazy Raccoon roster as well. And some of those other APAC North and Kintrip Gaming, you just have some more veterans in that scene. And, when you're not a veteran, and it makes me just really wonder how you're going to perform at LAN. But we've already made mention of Geared Gaming. Heroes is another team that barely skinned by, so I felt like I just had to put them in the D tier. And then the two teams that got invited from China, I literally don't know nothing about. It was Never to Change and then AUV NDY, I believe. And these two were the two that got invited by Respawn from the People's Republic of China, I think it was called. And there was two others I thought they got invited as well. But basically, no, it was the South American invites that went out. So you had 2 invites from South America, 2 invites from the China, and then you had like the 36 teams that came from the pro leagues of all around the world as well. But the South American teams went through a challenger circuit. I'm not sure about the Chinese teams exactly, if they just got an invite right out of the gate or if there was a challenger circuit somewhere that they competed in. Not exactly sure, but that's why I just had to put them there. This didn't have as much information on them. So that's my tier list. I know it's controversial. You guys are probably going to disagree and roast me in the comments, man. This took longer than what I wanted it to. It's been over an hour of doing this tier list. And I know you guys are just gonna hate. Just go ahead and hate, okay? I'm not even gonna. I can't read the comments on this because you guys are gonna rip me up. But then again, I do want to read the comments because I want to see where I'm wrong. What do you guys disagree with? What are the points that I missed? Why do you think that XYZ team should be an A tier or S tier or B tier? Let me know down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys want to stay up to date with all things in the world of Apex Legends news and esports related. And until the next time, we'll see you all later, Gators.